Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And as always, there's a lot of stuff going on in crypto today. One of the things I want to briefly discuss with you guys is that the stock market is moving down again. As you guys probably know by now, whenever the stock market moves down, Bitcoin usually kinda follows in its footsteps. And so that's something to take into consideration. Every single crypto is down about 1.5% today, as the average number that the crypto market is down is about 1.16% right now. So yeah, that was just to give you guys a little intro into the market. There's a lot of stuff that's going on today though, so make sure that you press that like button if you're enjoying these daily crypto videos. Before we move on, there's one thing I gotta remind you guys of, and that is that I'm running a $10,000 crypto giveaway right now with the link in the description. All you have to do is just check out either my Twitter or my YouTube or anything like that. If you want, you can go through all of them for a higher chance to win, but I recommend you guys check it out. Having said that, I'm most likely going to be putting all the timestamps down below as well. I always try to do that because a lot of you guys appreciate it a ton. And so, yeah, we're going to get to that. Don't worry about it. All right, so let's talk about the first thing of today. 2022 looks to be the year of crypto lawsuits. If you guys haven't noticed, right, Ripple, Coinbase, they're trending right now. Ripple's in an important lawsuit, but it's actually just one of the many. The SEC has gone on a war spree this year, and most likely this will be the year that crypto is going to be to some degree regulated in the US, not because of new rules, but because of all the lawsuits that they're going through. One of the ones that's going on right now, this is just in. The SEC charges Dragon Chain with selling $16.5 million in unregistered securities. This just came out. Again, this is not a thread, this is just a complete piece of legal action. The securities watchdog on Tuesday filed a complaint against Dragon Chain founder and CEO John Joseph Roots for failing to register his crypto security offering. The SEC is also suing 3 business entities associated with Roots and Dragon Chain: the Foundation, Dragon Chain Inc., and the Dragon Company, which is a pretty cool name for a company, not gonna lie. The complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for Western District of Washington alleged that the defendants netted $14 million from the sale of Dragon tokens in an ICO marketed to around 5,000 investors across the globe in 2017. I remember this pretty damn well, and I'm not even sure if I invested in this or not, but I'm honestly thinking I did. Little side note for you guys, back in the day, in 2017, there was the ICO craze, and at the time, we were very active on Discord, trying to find every single ICO that was just launching to invest in them. So, the reason I can't properly remember is because the majority of them I didn't even claim, because I was just buying like crazy. Usually there was a max of, let's say, 0.01 Bitcoin or so, but then again, you can imagine you can fill 100 projects with 1 Bitcoin. Okay, the max was pretty often actually a lot higher, but you guys get the idea, right? So a lot of those projects I kind of forgot about. One of those is Crypterium. You know, I bought it early, put some money into it, and I never claimed it. And that company's actually still around, so I kind of regret that. But the majority of ones I invested into became worthless, which you might think was a stupid idea or so in hindsight, but it really wasn't. Because a lot of the coins that I bought at the time have done really well over time. But I digress. Let's continue on. An ICO is a funding model. You guys don't know how it works. And honestly, I don't think we need to go too far into it further, except for the fact that Roots says he has a very strong case against the SEC's charges. And I think it's going to be interesting because he was previously informed by the SEC of the probe, addressed the charges preemptively in a letter from May posted on Tuesday. So he knew that this was coming. And he's also saying the SEC is picking and choosing projects to target, which obviously we know because of the Ripple case, often singling out the ones with the biggest opportunity to disrupt incumbent interests, while giving a free pass to others. Roots asserted, the commission is trying to shoehorn software technology into incompatible security laws from the 1930s, which of course don't make sense. He cannot really comprehend how crazy it is to use rules from 1930 in 2020s. This calls into question whether the commission understands the technology enough to effectively regulate it. And he says he has a strong case, and he decides to mount a ferocious legal defense against the SEC like Ripple, rather than settling remains to be seen. So we don't know if he's going to go for a quick settlement. because he has some good evidence or so, or is going to fight it all the way through. We'll have to see. But obviously, this is just, again, another example that this is going to be the year for crypto lawsuits and regulation. And talking about that, here's one article that I found pretty interesting. Binance receives approval to operate in Kazakhstan, and CryptoCom receives registration approval as a crypto asset business from the UK Financial Conduct Authority. You got to understand that regardless of what you're seeing on one side of the web, with all these lawsuits, with all this difficulty, on the other side, they're working on regulating things properly in a lot of other entities. For example, the Australian SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, completes the world's first blockchain settlement scheme test. I should add here, not the SEC, it's the ASE, Australian Security Exchange. I'm not looking at my screen, I'm looking at you guys. I believe so. I think I kind of messed up. There we go. It was the ASX. Sorry. All right, so the ASX, one of the world's leading securities exchanges, has successfully completed the world's first blockchain settlement scheme as an entity seeks to streamline operations. What I wanted to say was that the two worlds are colliding, or colliding, I think. They're just coming together, basically. At some point, it was security exchanges on one end, crypto things on the complete other end, and they were just completely separate. But that line is growing closer and closer, with Robinhood, for example, offering both, and a lot of other platforms just willing to offer both of these things. Now, the test ushers in the ability of companies on the platform to store and trade different types of digital assets while leveraging the benefits of blockchain technology. During the trial phase, ASX deployed its Symphony platform, which was incorporated into the exchange's technical overhaul, intending to repurpose the business clearing and settlements onto a blockchain. Notably, a distributed layer technology platform, Symphony, was launched late last year as an ASX service platform for businesses to develop pilot runs. And again, they already noted that a lot of businesses are showing interest in this technology, and they're waiting a bit to fully integrate it, but that's not a problem, I think, because you have to kind of wait and make sure things are running smoothly. If you're a bigger company, I don't really mind that. Continuing on, to stay on the same topic of the two worlds colliding, and I guess the crypto regulation going further, the Federal Reserve issues guidance for banks considering crypto activities. Even though the SEC is not doing a proper job, I guess the Federal Reserve is doing it for them. Let me know down below, by the way, if this mode or focus mode is better. Because I have my camera can do a couple of different settings, and I was trying the more blurred background, but I can also obviously do just a normal screen. Just depends on what you guys prefer. So I'm going to try this for a little bit, and you let me know down below what looks better. All right, so the U.S. Federal Reserve on Tuesday issued additional guidance for banks considering activities involving crypto, emphasizing that firms must notify the Fed beforehand and make sure whatever they do is legally permitted. So this, from a certain perspective, might sound to you as kind of negative because you have to file for approval, which you might not get. But the very big pro to this approach is that you cannot really come back afterwards, the Fed or the NSCC or whatever, and say what you did was wrong because you had to seek approval before you went to do it. With the SEC, it's kind of different because they didn't really set any proper rules. It was just like, hey, do whatever you want. You don't have to file for approval. You've asked us what we need to, or what you need to do. We didn't tell you, but then afterwards we're coming after you. This is like, well, we think all these companies should have a proper chance, but we want to make sure that it's properly handled. And I'm talking about bigger banks, so this is not a small household business type of venture. Then again, the Fed is also saying, hey, talk to your regulators, like talk to the SEC, for example, before starting all this stuff. But I think this is honestly, depending on how far they go about this, a good thing. Because if banks notify the Fed that they're doing all this stuff, from a certain perspective, the Fed is going to be like, oh no, so many different banks are into digital currencies. We as a Federal Reserve are going to lose our grip. Kinda, because I mean, if banks get into crypto, what do they really need the dollar for too much? From the other end, it can keep your economy a little bit safer from the perspective that, well, if banks really, for example, overexpose themselves to crypto, that would be kind of shockingly scandalous, right? If, for example, we get a Celsius situation with an actual bank. So even though I'm all in crypto, I'm really, really positive this is going to stay forever, and I honestly recommend everybody look into it. I kind of don't want the bank where, for example, let's pick something like my mother would have all her money into to take risks that Celsius is going for. I just think the regulation should be proper in the sense that they can't overexpose themselves to anything and make some irrational choices. So from that perspective, if they have to, inform some entity, I don't think that's a bad thing. Informing is not bad. It just depends on what restrictions come from that information. Moving on, just a piece of news you have to hear about. UK inflation hits a 40-year high of 10.1% as food and energy price surge continues. Things are doing pretty bad over in the UK, I guess, with 10.1%. Again, this is most likely still not the actual number. If I just look for a little fun fact at one of the shops I just went to a couple hours ago, the price increased by, so I would say if I went there 3 months ago, the one piece I bought was $5.50. It's $5.50. Now it's $7.50. So you just think about it for yourself, how much that increased. And the same thing I had, okay, so there's actually one shop I went to yesterday as well. And let me think. No, okay, so it's wrong. So the price from yesterday was $5.50 to $7.50. The price from today went from $3.50 to $5.50, I believe. You can understand, it's just a drastic change that we're seeing over in the food category. This 10% on average, no, I don't think it's right. I think it should be much higher than that. But it's just a number that they put down for you to kind of consume and take in. I don't know what else. A little bit of caution. Once the Ethereum merge comes along, you will not be able to deposit or withdraw from Coinbase and most likely a lot of other exchanges for a little bit. You guys all know it's going to be around September 15th, about a month away. And I just wanted to put this out there as a precautionary piece that you don't go and do too many transactions around that date. Might not be the best of ideas. You don't want to lose your money. And it'll most likely be pretty volatile though at the time as well. And I guess, as I said a little bit earlier about the whole Celsius matter, because I was kind of talking about it, right? There's one thing that I actually didn't mention before, and that is that Ripple is trying to also be involved a lot in the Celsius matters. They're trying to include themselves in a lot of this stuff, which is kind of funny. Obviously, we don't know exactly what they want to do with the Celsius assets or what, but like Sensei, for example, shared, after the case and XRP receives clarity, it IPOs and becomes a bank. There's a strategic reason Ripple registered in Wyoming. As you guys probably know, right, a little while ago, Ripple filed in Wyoming. Filing in Wyoming is usually a sign of, hey, we're trying to become a sort of bank entity or something along the lines, even though Ripple did not specify they want to become one. For so-called master accounts with the central bank, such accounts allow financial institutions, primarily banks, to move trillions of dollars a day on the Fed's payment systems. Efforts by banking regulators in some states, such as Wyoming, to make it easier for such firms to obtain banking charters or bank charters. And then crypto companies such as Kraken, a trading platform that applied for a Fed master account in 2020 through its Wyoming chartered affiliate, said uncertainty and prolonged delays in approaching such applications could hinder financial innovation. But obviously, they went for it a couple of years ago, so did Ripple, at least last year. And most likely, they're looking indeed for some sort of venture in all of this. Again, we don't know exactly what Ripple's trying to do. Obviously, the regulatory landscape is making these things difficult, but in due time, we shall see. They have a little bit of a master plan, I would say. I've already said it a couple of times in the past. Ripple is a company that's pretty ahead of the curve. And I think it's going to showcase over the next couple of months as, well, the Ripple v. SEC case continues, and we're going to get further and further in that. I think once it settles out, you're going to see how much Ripple has done in the time that they were sued and how much planning they've done. One fun fact is, for example, that Ripple got added to the top 5,000 list of fastest growing private companies in America. And the reason that is funny is because they're being sued by the SEC. Isn't it kind of ironical to some degree that they're included in some of the fastest private growing companies, but they're also in a detrimental lawsuit that would kind of kill their company in that specific area of the world that they're being one of the fastest growing companies in? If you guys understand my drift, it's like they're being recognized for their very significant growth and through a lot of other ventures, a lot of other, how do you call these things? A lot of papers. They're being called a perfect workplace and a really fast growing pace, everything, innovation wise, everything's doing good, including a lot of foundations and helping out along the world for philanthropy and everything like that. On the other end, they're being in a detrimental lawsuit because of some, I guess, major part of what they do. It's just very strange the way that this lawsuit is scheduled, or the lawsuit goes. But right. That was it for today's little video, though, guys. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe to the channel. But make sure you check out my giveaway. I guess some of you guys that follow me regularly to win. If you watch this far, make sure in the human check you just let me know that you watch my videos all the time. I can't really pick myself, but maybe eventually, if I have another small giveaway or so, like $500, that still a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but a smaller giveaway than $10,000, obviously, I might just pick somebody with a cool story in the human check. Who knows? Just let me know there or below the YouTube video as I read every single comment, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.